how do you manage a relationship with a customer?
Figure that out. These are things that can help alleviate that pain or fear that they have.
What makes a CRM valuable is the ability to maintain and make their relationship better with the customer, and that's done through communication.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Welcome back to Roofer2Roofer. You got Scott here, owner of Rainstoppers Roofing and SDR Consulting, and AJ here, co-founder, CEO of ProLine. So you got the tech side of the roofing business and the ownership side of the roofing business. And so we are here to answer your questions about the roofing business in general. We try to stay away from ProLine specifically. This is more about general roofing knowledge and business. But we would love to answer all the questions you guys have. Until we get any questions from you guys, we're going to start with our own questions. So I'm about to pull those up and we'll start there unless we see something pop in from you guys. How are you doing today, Scott?
Doing good. Hanging out in Maryland over in Ocean City in our RV and enjoying the weather here is like 78. I mean, it's absolutely perfect weather. So it's great. I love it. Doing a lot of fishing, crabbing, all that deal.
Yeah, I love it. That is good stuff. All right. So we'll start with, make sure there's no questions yet from you guys. Okay. Got a couple more other people joining us, so thank you for that. All right, we'll start with this. As a roofing contractor, should I be selling corrugated or standing seam metal roofing? Which one should be what I offer, and or both?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we offer both, right? So, and I think it's locality is a big thing that plays into this. So, like for us in Appalachia, and as far as I know, most of the Appalachia area is this way, because we're not a big storm market, so there's reasons inside of it, but people love corrugated metal because it's fairly inexpensive, but they love the look of the metal. They love the nostalgia. You know, they're all about metal. The problem is with corrugated panel, you have screws, you have fasteners with a rubber washer, neoprene washer that do fail. It's not a matter of if, but when they are going to fail. So we are very, very transparent with our customers that understand this roof does require maintenance, and that maintenance is potentially re-screwing this roof every 7 to 10 years. So it's a huge problem. With standing seam, you get what everybody believes of the longevity of metal. That's what you get with standing seam. It lasts a long time. I mean, I don't want to say forever, but a long time. The problem is you come with a price point that reflects that, right? So a price point might very well be, I think for us, we're about 2 to 2.5 times that of a shingle roof or a corrugated metal roof, which we're in the same ballpark with corrugated and shingles. Are pretty close. We're about 2 to 2.5 times that for standing seam. So you have to find somebody that's willing to cough up some serious cash to do that. And in our area, that's not, it's just not real often that happens. So we do sell a lot of corrugated. We try not to. We try to push them to shingles because the warranty's better. We believe the system's better. We believe the product's better. So we do try to push them in that direction. But it's not an awful option. It's just, I'll give you one last piece. Many manufacturers call corrugated metal ag panel, AG, right? Ag panel. Ag panel means it's for a farm. That metal was created for farmers to put on their barns, to put on their stables, whatever, where tiny little leaks just really aren't an issue. Like, if you get a little leak every 10 years, 12 years, go up there and slap some silicone on it and it's good to go for another 5 to 10. That's what that whole thing was for. Plus, the design and the profile of it, when you start getting a real chopped up house, lots of the valleys, sidewall, end wall, they make all that trim. I mean, you can get all that trim. But that panel is just not really, it wasn't really created for that. It was created to go on straight run barns, and things like that. So in my opinion, that's where it belongs. That's where I'd like to keep it, but we do have a lot of customers that like it. They want it. We want a roof, so we're going to sell it with the precautions given to them of what to be expected.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, do you think with that price point and standing seam being 2.5 times asphalt, does it have 2.5 times the lifespan?
So, I mean, realistically, yeah, I believe so. I believe you do get the value that you pay for in it. So let's just call it 2 times, right? Just to make it easy, because it's somewhere in that realm, 2 to 2.5.
Yeah.
So if it's 2 times, and let's just say, I mean, don't get me wrong, we offer a warranty that's supposedly 50 years with 25-year workmanship warranty, but we all know how manufacturer warranties work. GAF's been fantastic. They've stood behind gold pledge warranties for us. They paid us to go take care of warranty claims on other companies' roofs. I got no issue with the warranty, but they understand the math behind it. They understand that chances are you're not going to be there when the warranty issues come. As far as the homeowner, you're going to move. You're probably going to have that house is probably going to sold twice. So even though it's transferable one time, chances are that warranty is not going to be valid when the roof fails. My opinion is these roofs today, these new shingle roofs, I believe they're a 30-year roof. I believe you'll get a solid 30 years out of them, unless you're in some storm market, Denver or South Florida, whatever, right? Where I'm at, I think we'll get 30 years out of them without any issue. Um, I absolutely 100% believe and know for a fact there's no reason you can't get 60 plus years out of standing seam. I live in old country, very old town. There's standing seam roofs on turn of the century homes that are still good. Like there's still nothing really wrong with them. They don't leak. I mean, they're kind of ugly now, but they don't leak. And we're talking like 1900s built houses. That's the original roof. So, yeah, I mean, if there's not a fastener to leak and it doesn't get a hole poked through it or rust, which takes some sort of issue with the panel itself. If it doesn't rust a hole or have a hole poked in it, there's really no way to make it leak.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good insight. We had someone in the chat. Chris said hidden fastener system. Is that referring to standing
That's
seam?
standing seam, yeah.
Okay. Is there
Or like a snap block panel, which a lot of people today call that standing seam. Yeah.
standing seam? There, that's what I was going to ask. Is there no technology where you can take a corrugated roof and somehow fasten it without external fasteners?
The problem is your panels are 3 foot wide. Okay. So what that does, your next fastener wouldn't be for 3 feet, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm not the master of all roofing material across the country, but where I'm at, there is nothing corrugated that would come with a hidden fastener. And I believe it's because the width, when you're spanning something 3 feet, a fastener every 3 feet, you have to believe wind could catch that, right? Like wind's going to get on 3 foot span.
Right.
If it's standing seam, you're anywhere from 12 to 16-inch panels typically. I know that can vary. Like there's other dimensions you can get. I've seen 8-inch panels. But you've got a fastener every 12 to 16 inches holding that panel down, which I believe is what, makes that capable.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Chris said that he agrees. So, all right. Well, for everyone that's joined us, thanks for jumping on Roofer to Roofer. We're here to answer y'all's questions about the roofing business, about whether it be materials, sales, marketing, anything at all. We're here to answer them. We do have our own questions that we're going through right now, but if you guys have any questions for us, we'd love to answer those instead. So we'll look out for those in the chat or in the Q&A. I'll move on to the next question here that we have on our list. Should I, as a roofing contractor, offer repair services?
I think it depends on the stage of your business and what your goals are, right? So, like for us, we're not really trying to grow at a rapid rate. That's not really something we're trying to do. We're just kind of organically grassroots growing nice and slow. That's where we're at today. That's kind of our vision. That's what we want to do, nice and easy. We don't need to offer repair services to do that. Repairs are tricky. They're harder to do, in my opinion. They can be very lucrative, but it does take a certain person, and it's just a trickier business. So if you're really looking to grow, or you're very early in business, if you're very early in business, 100%, you could build. I don't want to say you could build a business, but you can make a shitload of money as a owner operator just doing repairs. We used to charge $1,000 minimum, and I used to do them myself. Sometimes I'd show up and do a repair in 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, what job have you ever had that you made $1,000 in 30 minutes? And it might have been 900 after you fuel and material, but you've never done that. When you start your business, you never did that prior to that, right? So I think there's points that it's valuable. I just don't like it because of all the steps involved. It's just, we pay too much for the lead, because we pay the same for the lead as we would a re-roofer lead. So we pay too much for the lead. Our close rate's about the same, so our acquisition cost is still $700-800. So it's really not very profitable unless we're charging like $2,000, right, or $2,500. Well, that just drives our close rate even lower, because nobody wants to pay $2,500 to us to do a repair. Our business just doesn't support it real well right now. I think if we had a couple in-house techs, and we didn't advertise for it, we solely just took organic leads for repairs, and we could keep those guys busy, then maybe it would make sense. But for us right now, it doesn't. I think early in business, or if you're really, really actively trying to grow, that's when repair business is good.
Here's how roofers make it home for dinner every single night without losing a single sale, even when they're one-man shows. Automate your communication with ProLine, the only communication-first CRM for roofers. Because when you fix your communication, you'll sell more jobs. Your weekends will smell more like sunscreen and backyard barbecues than that crappy gas station coffee. And all you got to do is ask these roofers.
Where we had about 200% growth, and I attribute that to incorporating ProLine.
But just with one automation, I was able to get 25 Google reviews.
It's been absolutely insane how quickly we were able to grow.
Now, ProLine's not going to win the beauty pageant, but it will save your Saturday. Now, back to the show.
What about a repair-only business? Is that a thing?
There is. I'll call him a friend. His name's Joe. He's up in, what is that? Oregon or Washington, I think. Northwest corner, up in there somewhere. And that's where, up until like a year ago, that's all they did. He had like 10 service techs out running every day.
Yeah.
But up there, they're dealing with tons of rain, lots of algae, moss, things like that. So they did, their business was repair and roof cleaning. That's all they did. So I think there's definitely places for it, for sure. I also, again, if you don't want to build a big business and you're not looking to take on a bunch of headache and a bunch of employees and a bunch of payroll and all these different difficult things to do, just start a repair business. If you just want to go work for yourself and be left alone and have a really good life, while you basically wear all the hats, go start a repair business. You can make a shitload of money. Charge $500 a shot. You can go knock out 4 a day, and some days you might be done by lunch. You know what I mean? Like, there's great opportunity to make a really good living in that business.
Yeah.
Everybody gets caught up in like building this big business with all these things and all that. That's not always like the best. I mean, there's days that it sucks, right? I mean, AJ, you building ProLine, like some days that's miserable, right? Like there's days you're like, I know when I was going through some growing pains, I just thought, oh my God, I just want to go back to the oil business where I just get in my truck and go to work every day and I don't have to deal with anybody's shit. right? Like
Right.
doesn't don't have, I'm the boss and I got nobody to deal with, right? Because as owners, we've got customers, and the bigger you get, the more customers you get, and the less attention you're giving to those customers personally. So there's more opportunities for things to fall through the cracks, but they still fall on your shoulders. So uh, don't be so proud that you have to build a big business just for your pride. There's other ways to do this to become very well off, and have a great life.
Yeah. Yep. Lots of creative approaches. All right. For those that just joined us, thanks for joining us for Roofer to Roofer. We are here to answer your questions about the roofing business. We have our own questions we're going through in the meantime, but as soon as we see something pop up in the chat or Q&A, we'll answer that instead. So I'm going to move on to our next question here. Next question is, as a roofing contractor, should I offer gutters as an upsell?
I mean, unfortunately, I feel like you almost have to. I hate selling gutters, but there are so many people that just feel that it's required to go with the roof for some reason. And chances are 9 out of 10 of your competitors are willing to sell them gutter. You're going to lose. And I know this for a fact because we have at a couple points in business eliminated gutter from our sales. We just know we don't offer it. And we 100% can verify that there were multiple sales lost, not on price, but simply on the fact that they only wanted to deal with one contractor to do their roof and their gutters. And this, I'm not saying one over 6 months. I'm saying like one every couple weeks. So there was enough that it was somewhat significant and it made sense to just bring it back and do it.
Yeah. A lot of homeowners are just going to view that as part of their roof. They're not going to
Yeah.
differentiate it.
Right.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Makes sense. All right. We got some questions here in the chat, so we will jump into these. Daniel asks, what are some quick tips for selling? I just started and I'm learning the best I can.
Good question. So some quick tips. Always be early. Don't ever show up on time or late. That's like something I pound in my guys. You'll always need to be early to the appointment. Always park where the customer can see your vehicle when they come to the door, right? Wear your branded shirt, whatever, but so where they can see the truck, they can see whatever you're driving with your wrap, your logo, whatever on it. Always do a good inspection and then use a tool, whether it be ProLine's photo tool inside of their CRM or company cam, use some sort of photo taking tool or video taking tool to show that inspection to the homeowner at the table. Educating your customer is the number one, in my opinion, the number one to sell a roof. The more educated you make them, the more confident they're going to be and the more trust they're going to have in you. So always educate, teach them, here's what I found on your roof. This is no good. This is still in good shape, but with the rest of this being, give them the full breakdown and the full education of what's going on in their house. And I guess one last one I always like is we call it a pre-close. So after you've went through, you've given them the pitch, you've talked to them, you've told them about your company, you've told them how you can help them, how you can alleviate their problems. You've given them the full inspection and told them everything that you found up there and educated them. Then I always like to, do a pre-close, Mr. Homeowner, other than price, is there any reason you wouldn't hire Ring Stoppers Roofing for your project? That sounds salesy, but the idea is to eliminate any possible questions before you hand them that price. So they may say, no, you guys sound great. I love it. Hand them the price. Or they may say, well, I just don't understand why I still need a roof, why I couldn't do a repair. Well, let's revisit this inspection and let me explain to you what I found. You have an option to go back and beat that objection before you get to the price, because the price is going to be a big objection 9 out of 10 times. It's usually the problem. So beat all the other objections before you get to that. So pre-close is a great tip.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the most experienced salesperson, but I have sold. I've done door-to-door sales. So I would just throw in there, you really want to get down to the pain. That's the end of the day what people are doing. Is they're just wanting to get rid of the pain that they currently have, whether that's frustration, whether that's the leaks or their fear around what's going to happen. And so on the front end, like to get someone to buy, also fear with working with a contractor. So that's where you can kind of steer them towards your unique selling proposition and your value as a contractor around, hey, I'm going to communicate with you every step of the process, or here's our reviews. These are things that can help alleviate that pain or fear that they have. And so that's the key, is they figure that out. And that takes listening and smart questioning, and then address that. And if you can sell to that, hey, I'm gonna make this process smooth for you. I hear you on you're worried because you're so and so down the street, their contractor messed a bunch of things up and then dipped. Hear you on that. This is how we handle that. This is how we communicate in order to make sure that doesn't happen. That's how you can present yourself as that solution that meets their pain and meets their or solves that pain and solves those fears that they have. So that's my biggest tip. All right. So moving on to our next question here. Let me see. We had a couple people jump off. Next question is from Ryan. How do you manage your subs on the job? Labor only, material delivery, payment, trash trailer, dumpster included. I guess just what do your subs do versus what do you do for them?
Yeah. So one thing we do work with our subs as far as training goes, like just training them on our process. And basically, the way we do it with our subs, all they're responsible for is showing up, doing the job, and disposing of the trash. Obviously, clean up, but part of our process is we use smart tarps. We used to use catch-all. We still like the catch-all, but we like the smart tarps better for us. The branding that they have, that it's basically a billboard hanging off the side of the house. It's really impressive. To drive by, it looks really good. But so we train them, how to set those up, what pictures to take in company cam. We have some things that we do on our roofs and it's simple stuff. You can make up your own list. Like something simple, like painting the pipes. Like we want all the pipes painted, every job. So like little things like that some companies don't do. We replace a drip edge on every single job. Some companies don't do that. So certain things, we just make sure that they're dialed into our install process. But really, they manage themselves throughout the day. But they're just responsible for doing a quality job and having a quality cleanup at the end of it, and then documenting their work throughout the process.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, you want to keep it probably pretty simple for your subs because you want to keep your subs. Like they're super valuable.
Yeah, their job, in my opinion, is not to deal with a material delivery or collect a payment or make up a change order, or that's not really their job. You hired them as laborers, essentially. They're hired hands. They're not part of your company, and you've got to keep that separation to where they're not part of your company. But they do need to understand your company values, your company process. They do need to understand some of that stuff. And I don't care if it's, we used to build houses. My electrician, my drywaller, my plumber, they all knew our values, our process, our expectations. That was all part of it, right? So any sub, that they're just the hired labor, but they do need to understand kind of the gist of your company and the expectations that you have for them.
Yep, that makes sense. Daniel asks, Daniel says, I'm having trouble speaking with homeowners about why I'm there. I'm assuming that if you're talking about knocking door to door rather than appointments, because if they schedule the appointment, then they would know why you're there. But in a door to door context, I think asking the right questions to get down to pain is the most important thing. That's even more important because you don't have that existing context. Like if they scheduled it, and obviously like, oh, they're worried about the roof. But the first thing you're going to need to do when you're out there is you're knocking on the door. You need to have a pitch that you're memorized to the point that it sounds like not a pitch anymore. That sounds natural. Which takes a lot of practice. But it's always good to start. You introduce yourself and you start with a question. When's the last time you guys had your roof inspected? And then no matter what they answer, and I just to clarify, I've not done door to door for roofing. I've done it for other types of contracting. But this is how I would do it if I was doing it for roofing and when's the last time you guys got your roof inspected? Or I would ask something like, have you guys gotten your roof inspected after that last storm that came through? It depends on like kind of what the market is, what the context is. You could also start with, hey, our team is working across the street for Joe. Did we come inspect your roof yet? So starting with a question to open up the door. And then they're going to answer one of two things. Well, they might just tell you to leave, in which case, okay, well, that's over. They're clearly not interested, but they're most likely going to say one thing like, oh yeah, we just got it inspected, or, we just had it replaced, or whatever it is. Or they're going to say, well, no, we haven't got an inspection. Be like, oh, perfect. That's exactly why I'm here. We're working with Joe down the street. And so we're just going around offering a complimentary roof inspection just to see if you guys have any damage up there, just to give you peace of mind. Where would be the best place to climb up on the roof? I got the ladder in the truck or something like that. You can just go straight for it. Then the key is going to be to get up on the roof and then look for the pane there, literally visually look for the pane there and be able to take photos, bring that back down, talk to the homeowner. But it's going to be about questions on the front end. And getting down to, the only reason someone's going to let you up on the roof is if they're concerned about the health and longevity of the roof. So you got to get down and establish whether or not that's a pain they have. And if they don't, they're probably not going to let you on the roof. But if they do, and part of that's just by how you ask, they might then have like a sense of anxiety. Well, actually, I haven't been up there in a long time. I don't know how it is. So then now that's a pain. That's a pain that you can solve. You can alleviate that not knowing on their part. And that's why they're there. I think also breaking it down, specifically for door to door, it's very important to break down the interaction into, you're not there to sell them a roof. You're there to solve their problem, or you're there, like, you're just trying to get on the roof. You're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to get on the roof. And I think breaking it down there, so you're not trying to like think 5 steps ahead, because you don't even know, like, when you go knock on their door, whether or not they need a new roof or not. Maybe you can see from the street there's some damage or something, but apart from that, like, you can't know for sure unless you get up there. And so the first thing is just going to be getting up on the roof, or maybe depending on how your company's set up, maybe it's not getting on the roof, maybe it's inspecting with a drone. But whatever it is, you got to get up and inspect the roof. Thoughts on that, Scott?
I love it. The big thing for us is being in a non-storm area. When we canvas, we do it intentionally. It's either right around a job site or it's visually a problem from the ground. So it's a real easy conversation when we get to the door. Hey, I was driving through the neighborhood and noticed you're missing some tabs up on that roof. We offer free inspections. I can give you a quick inspection if you'd like. Would you care if I jump up there real quick and check things out for you? Or it's the other one, which you mentioned. Hey, we're working 3 houses down. These houses were all built about the same time, and your roof looks to be about the same condition as the one we're replacing. Would you? They've been tickled with us. Would you like us to check yours out? We'd be happy to help you too. Whatever that is. You might not brag on yourself on the first knock, but I'm just saying, like, there's a way to have that conversation when you walk up to the door.
Makes sense. What is the best way to qualify? I'm gonna go jump back into our questions because I don't see any other questions here in the chat. If you guys have any other questions, please drop those in. Making sure there's nothing in the Q&A area. Okay. All right. So question I have here, how should I properly qualify new roofing leads that are coming into my business?
Yeah. It's gotten way easier for us recently. Once we rebranded, I feel like it really kind of changed the lead quality that we were getting, if that makes sense. We're not, when it was TA construction or whatever, we got every call in the world, bathrooms and kitchens and flooring and addition, so it was really hard to qualify lead. It wasn't hard, it was just the phone never quit ringing, and you might only be getting three quality leads a day, but you might screen 30 calls. Since we rebranded and Terrain Stoppers Roofing now, we very seldom get calls that aren't really in our scope. Other than, and I think Jennifer's listening, other than the BS calls that we get, it's spam and all the crap that you get, right? So, but she does a great job, just basically taking those calls, listening, hearing what they're interested in. If it happens to be a service that we offer, then we're booking an appointment immediately. And there's a lot of people that push this whole idea of you want to be like the third person to show up. We don't believe in that. Like, we want to be the first person there, and we almost always are, unless they're calling us after they've already received a couple quotes. 90% of the time, we're the first person in the door. We don't like to wait, but hey, you got an issue, we want to come fix it right now. Let's get this under control right now. But yeah, we don't see a lot of non roofing related calls, so it's gotten pretty easy for us. But the big thing you want to always do if you are getting calls that aren't in in your scope is always have a great referral. So if it's someone looking for, the one we get often that we don't do is like building porch roofs, right? Like, you've got an existing deck or concrete porch, but you want a porch roof extended over it. We get that call often, and we don't offer that service. So we have a great company that, we refer those out to. And you want to have a good company you can refer people to, because now when the rest of the roof goes bad, maybe they call your buddy that you referred that roof to, but there's a good chance that he doesn't really do full re-roofs. Maybe he sends them back your way to get that re-roof, and they trust you since you guys, have a relationship.
Yeah. Yes. Makes sense. All right, next question here. When you get a job that you're working on, you're doing a roof replacement, and if you run across any unexpected additional repairs that are required, whether that be additional OSB, or maybe some trim has to be replaced, or some siding or something, and that comes up, it wasn't anticipated, it comes up during the process of replacing the roof. What's the best way to communicate that to the homeowner?
As soon as you know, right? Don't wait. Let them know immediately. We let them know before we get there. That we let them know when they sign their quote. We've got the terms, and I actually just added to this one. I will bring this up because I think it's valuable. We have a little page. It's a little notes page in our ProLine quote template, right? And it just lists what additional costs could potentially be in the re-roof process. Sheeting, $70 per sheet. Rafters are X amount per linear foot if there's damaged rafter. If it's 1x lumber, like I said, we got a lot of old homes. If it's additional 1x lumber, it's X amount per linear feet. And then we have a few little notes in there too that of things that like we're not responsible for. So, the one I just added was if you have an unfinished attic or unfinished garage, because we get a lot of people that just say, "Hey, go measure it and give me a quote." I'm not going to be home. We get that often. Well, I can't look in your attic and I can't look in your garage if you're not there. If you've got an unfinished attic or garage, we are not responsible for any damage to anything inside of those structures. You must cover them or remove your belongings. We had one recently, had 2 really nice cars in the garage. We had to replace 3 sheets of plywood on the garage section. Well, as you're ripping that up, crap's just falling all over these really nice cars. It didn't damage anything, luckily, but the homeowner was pretty irritated that their cars were covered in plywood chips and different things. Should have covered them or moved them out. Like, we can't know that until we've got the plywood ripped off your roof, right? Especially because we never entered the garage. We had another one recently that there was a really nice Harley. This is what actually triggered this note. Really nice Harley in the garage. To be honest with you, it was actually the sales rep's fault, and he took full blame for it, and we took responsibility, and we're paying for the damage. Not through insurance. We'll just pay for it out of pocket. It's not worth getting insurance involved, but we'll just pay for it. But regardless, he knew it was unfinished, didn't relay that to the crew, and didn't relay it to the project manager. And something fell through and scratched the paint on this really nice Harley. So going forward, we're just alleviate any potential for that. That way because the customer is going to care, right? It's their shit in there, right? They care. Like, that's my nice car, that's my nice Harley. And there's a line in here that I have to put my initials next to that say, we're not responsible for things falling on your vehicles because the ceiling's not finished, right? So now they're invested just a little bit, and it's not asking too much. I don't believe so. I don't believe that's asking too much. We're showing up, doing a demo, ripping the whole top of your house off and putting it back on in one day. The least you can do is be responsible for the things inside the structure that could potentially be damaged. Just throw a sheet on them, pull them out into the yard, pull them out onto the street, whatever that is. Like, for a day, you can take some responsibility as well and help us get through this process together and have a great relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild to me that someone would have something like that underneath it. Like, they can see the bottom of the roof and they're thinking that it's going to be protected.
Yeah, in the first one I mentioned with the couple cars, I had no idea. To be dead ass honest with you, I quoted years ago, I quoted finishing that garage for customers like 8 years ago. I assumed, and that's my fault for assuming, right? But I assumed they had it finished because 8 years ago I quoted finishing it for him. I figured he just hired someone else to do it.
Right.
Nope, never finished it. So, as we're ripping that old rotten sheeting up, pieces and chunks of stuff's falling on these pretty nice vehicles. Not your daily drivers either, like nice vehicles. So, which he was fine, but regardless, now we've got a nice note in there, kind of details, some limitation of liability in there, right?
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, we got time for one more question here. Let's do this. It is the season. It is the season. So I'm going to ask this question. How would getting a CRM system improve our company and sales process?
Nice. Yeah. Here's the deal, guys. I don't care if you're a one-man band or a $50 million company. You have to have a way to manage your customer list. And I'm not talking about just old customers with old data that you're trying to send an email to every once a month, right? It's sales pipelines, it's production pipelines, it's tracking billing to where if someone's paid their full bill, paid a partial, or paid nothing. Like, you got to have all that stuff. But it's not just that. If you can, any CRM does that. Every CRM, if it doesn't, it's not CRM. That is the core of a CRM to manage customers, right? So All of them do that. But at the core of all of that is communication. So find something that makes communication better, easier, simpler for your entire team. So for us, I mean, obviously anybody listening probably knows we use ProLine. But the automations, so before we used ProLine, 3 years ago, I was up my sales guys' butt every day, all of them, about follow-up. Because I knew they'd tell me they were, but we'd never sell a job unless we sold it like the week we looked at it. I'm like, you guys aren't following up. You know what I mean? Like, follow up, call them, text them, send them an email, do something. I no longer worry about that because we have automation set up in ProLine for follow-up that they get follow-up, text, email, the whole deal for 2 years, I think is how long that campaign's set for. I don't have to ask my sales guys to call and get Google reviews or bribe them with $50 cash payments to get a Google review. It's in ProLine. It's automatic. My customers, every single one of them, when we finish their job and they make their payment, they get a text and email. Hey, would you mind leaving us a 5-star review? Boom, here's a link. Just click here. It's super easy. Our reviews have went through the roof. So find a software that not only manages your customers, but it also makes your life easier and helps you sell more work. We sold one today. I think we sold 4 jobs today. One of them I looked at was like 185 days old. I can promise you, I looked at the activity. There has not been one manual follow-up done since 185 days ago. Not one, so it's like, but ProLine followed up with them once a week, then once every other week, then once a month, and this slowly drawn out follow-up. That last one was like 3 days ago. So 3 days ago, they got a text and an email following up with them, and they signed a day. Find something that makes communication better, easier, simpler for your whole team, not just you.
I love it. I love it. That I couldn't agree more. I think every platform out there has one thing that they do better than anybody else. Well, they should. Any of the good platforms do have that thing that they do better than anybody else. And I agree with you. I think communication is that one thing that you need your CRM to do better than anything else, because everything else isn't really part of the CRM. Like if all kinds of other features, there's all kinds of other things that a platform could focus on, and they can be nice, but if you're missing the communication piece, you're just throwing away money. You're throwing away money, and you're operating a lot less efficiently than you could be. So, yeah, I mean that's the one thing.
It's really customer relationship management, right? That's CRM. That is what it stands for, customer relationship management. How do you manage a relationship with a customer? Through communication. That's it. Nothing else. Like that's the only thing. Not through a measurement report, not through any of the other crap. Like all that's tools that you need in your company, but that's not what makes a CRM valuable. What makes a CRM valuable is the ability to maintain and make the relationship better with the customer, and that's done through communication.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't have to use ProLine. There's other CRMs that have communication stuff built in. I would say we are by far, hands down, the best at that, better than anybody else. However, yeah, I mean, the key there when you're evaluating CRMs, like there's a lot of other bells and whistles they can have. But the number one thing that you should be looking for is, can this help me communicate effectively with my customers? Everything else is secondary to that.
I would go a step further. If you're in Southeast Ohio or West Virginia, don't use it. But if you're anywhere else, you should definitely be using it because it is kind of our secret sauce, right? It's what really has taken our business to another level.
I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you guys. Thanks for joining us today for Roofer2Roofer. So we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate you, all of you guys listening in, and we should be on again next week, though next week is week of Win the Storm. But yeah, we'll be on Monday before Win the Storm, so that should be fun. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Good to see you, Scott, and we'll see everybody next week.